Obviously, we are one person short here today, but this is an enormously important election, and hopefully everybody gets what they need out of this in the last debate. I would also like to thank Neighborhood Alliance for allowing us to do this and giving us this opportunity, and hopefully we can continue doing this in perpetuity. We'll see how it goes. The way we're going to do this format is a little different from the other day, and it's going to be a little more similar to what we did during the last council and board debate, where it's a little bit more conversational. So if somebody gives an answer that requires additional questions, we're certainly going to do that. We have a 2-minute opening statement, and then we're going to have questions, and Christine and myself will be alternating. And will be 1-minute answers. Yes?
Anybody needs
Okay.
follow-up questions?
Yeah, we'll do the follow-up questions. And if anybody has a question during the debate, by all means bring it up. So it'll be 1 minute to answer, and each candidate will have 3 opportunities to actually to rebut whatever question they may not get. So not everybody, it's not going to be like the last debate where everybody gets the same questions. The questions will be a little more pointed. We're going to dig a little bit deeper, and hopefully everybody gets the answers they need to make a good decision. We will be a little bit flexible with the time. If somebody is in the middle of a thought, we'll let them finish. I have the timekeepers here, and they will raise the pink with 30 seconds left. Purple with 30 seconds left. And red with 10. And then at the end of 10, they will give the silent mama. But please finish your thoughts.
Is it possible for them to sit there so that we're looking at them?
It is certainly possible. Neither of them are afraid of attention. Bring your chairs over. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
On either side of the box.
Yeah. Okay. And we may take a 5-minute break so everybody can gather their thoughts. And then at the very end, we'll have 2 minutes for each person to do a closing. And just prior to the start of this, we had everyone draw cards, and Jason had the high card and he chose to go first. Kat had a 9 and she chose to go last. And Myrna had a 2. And so she'll be in the middle on this. So with that, I would like to ask Jason for 2 minutes for his opening.
Hi everybody, thanks to the Neighborhood Alliance for holding this event. My name is Jason Cattell. I'm in my 14th year on the new London Board of Education, and tonight what my main goal is going to try to do is to distinguish myself from the other 3 people who are running. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of New London. I lived here my entire life. I am a Democrat running. I was here. I'm going to Harvard as an outside Democrat, and I don't plan on staying longer than 6 years. Just a little bit about my background. I have a 6-year in educational leadership, which certifies me to be a principal in any public school in the state of Connecticut. Some of the goals that I'm looking for, if elected, I do support a $15 per hour minimum wage. I do support looking at the Family Medical Leave Act and seeing the ways that it's going to be funded. I do not support seeing that coming out of a payroll tax. I do want to see other ways to fund that. I want to see our lottery dollars spent better. I would also like to see our casino funds spent better. When those were initiated, there were specific, distinct places that those dollars were supposed to go, and that has not happened. So I'm running because of the process and how there was no primary process as a Democrat running, and so I petitioned onto the ballot, and those are some of my goals for this campaign. I've been working, my campaign has not had any state funding to run. We have been getting dollars from hardworking individuals in the city, and we have been working hard, just as hard as the other candidates, and we are confident going into the election on Tuesday that we have pinpoint who will be voting and where we will get our votes from. Finally, as I think about the reasons why I got into politics at the age of 23, I think about growing up in a single, my mother was single, raising 3 kids, and I think that's where my fiscal conservative side of me comes. Growing up, not having much, but we had each other, and we knew what we had to do, and we had a close-knit family, and we got things done, and that's me.
Good evening, everyone. Neighborhood Alliance, thank you very much for hosting us. I'm so glad for this opportunity. It's the second one, I believe, that you are hosting with us. I've attended this on the Board of Education before, and I really appreciate the opportunity to bring New London together to discuss our issues and what we need to make it better. My name is Maria Martinez. I am a teacher by training who at some point realized that there were policies that were constraining my classroom in the way that we did things, and I thought I needed to have a hand in that, and eventually got on the Board of Education, and at this point, ironically, or at the same time, I have students in their 30s, and so thinking about policies on the larger scale, that those structures that help our society, that govern the way that, not govern the way that we live, but that help structure our base for the way that we live. So here I am right now. I have served as a board member for going into in my 3rd term, going into my 6th year. I have served as chair of the Board of Education, and here appreciating all of the natural resources that we have in Connecticut, our geographic location, our shoreline resources, and I want us to recognize the strengths that we have here in the state. We are the 4th highest in the country for weekly earnings. We are the 6th highest per capita income. But at the same time, we, according to News and World Report, we're 43rd in our economy. Our infrastructure is ranked 41st, and our fiscal stability is ranked 41st, and we're 42nd in job growth. So I'm here to work on I want to share some solutions, some ideas from my platform about State Bank, about preserving our capital and coastal assets, supporting the prohibition of eminent domain for commercial purposes. And so I look forward to discussing all of this with you tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you to Neighborhood Alliance and to Board Member Christine for putting this on this evening. My name is Kat Goulart. For those of you who don't know, I'll give you a little about myself. I've been in the city about 12 years. I relocated from Montville, that's where I lived most of my life, and serve on the Police Community Relations Committee, on the Economic Development Commission. I'm on the Board of Directors for the London Baby Youth Baseball League, and I coach occasionally. I also do outreach work, and I'm on the Board of Directors for FBI New Haven Citizens Academy Alumni Association. It's a mouthful. What we do is support efforts of law enforcement and then also bring programs from FBI New Haven out into the community, such as programs on opioid awareness and bullying and violence in schools. All of that said, and I work a little bit on the side. I've been self-employed since I've been 23 years old. This election is really about who will best stand for New London's working families and seniors, and about who will fight against tolls and taxes that are coming in large part from the left. Officer Nolan, he's not here tonight, and I know it's tough because we can't hear from him. At the last debate, he stated that he would support new taxes, that he would support tolls, that he would support adding speed traps to generate revenue, and I don't feel that that is what is best for these working families and for community members. Jason Catali here to my left has been doing a great job out in the community. He also supports a lot of those tolls and taxes, and I don't believe that is what's best for us. Myrna as well. She spoke of generating all sorts of new revenues, but what we didn't hear from Myrna was about the new, about making cuts to the government. I would like to get into some of those things, and I'm running out of time, so we'll talk about it tonight. But I'm very fiscally conservative, socially moderate, and I am already out of time, so I'm getting silent comment.
Thank you. And with that, I guess that's a good segue to go right into it. And we will ask the same question on several of these issues. And the first one, let's get right to it, because we want to get into the taxes that were proposed in the last, in the speech on Wednesday, I think it was. And also we want to talk about tolls. So I'll go right down the line, start with Myrna. Let's talk about the tolls and your position on those tolls, because I know there's some nuances between everybody, but I really think we need to dig down on that.
Thank you. I do want to get to Pesto eventually, because we did talk about it the other night. I did talk about it too. But the tolls, it's definitely something that I don't want. I don't want to just innately see it, but unfortunately, with a $1.5 billion deficit, I do think that it's a part of what we need to see. It's moving forward, and there's a piece that we need to be able to work in. I do agree with trucks being either tolled, but at least having the weigh stations. We have 8 in the state of Connecticut, at least having those regularly manned and updated. I think in my 18 years in New London, I don't believe I've ever seen them open, and they're there for safety measures. They're there to generate revenues in order to take care of the roads. I also do want to see revenues coming in from out-of-state vehicles. In the summer, we might as well take advantage of that possible revenue.
Okay, silent llama, unfortunately, so Kat.
Thank you. My stance has been a firm no on the tolls. For really, by and large, is because there has not been any talk from the governor about making cuts to the excess spending. And to just simply, create a new source of revenue, which is code for reaching into our pockets for more money, I think is disrespectful to do. We have to at least look at where the areas of waste are. The overwhelming argument for having tolls is that 30% of our drivers are on the roadways from my state. They're not participating to that, or they're not contributing to the cost of maintaining them. That means that 70% of us are paying more because 30% are paying nothing. There are measures that we can take to reduce the cost per square mile of maintaining the roadways, which currently right now is at about $500,000. We need to at least look at that before we start putting up tolls that are, could potentially cost us hundreds of dollars more per year per person just to get to work.
I just want to clarify something that Mrs. Goulart had said about the fact that I supported tolls and said that the other night. That's completely wrong. The paper even has me quoted as saying that I'm opposed to tolls in any fashion. I don't want to toll people at lines. I think there are other ways where I do agree with you on. It's the fact that there is a lot of waste. We have over 100 people making overtime of $100,000 a year. And we make that in an entire year. Maybe what I'm told is change your your job if you don't like people making overtime. So you were wrong about saying that. You could apologize about that. I have the list. I even pulled out a list of all the taxes that the governor made a day of our debate here. And I said there are a few that maybe I do support, but I'm not up here to say, and my flyers say I don't support raising taxes. I talked about the stormwater tax that I'm not in favor of. I talked about the taxes in the city of New London that are exorbitantly high, but I didn't talk about the $1,200 check I had to send off to the state of Connecticut today because I worked 3 jobs and got taxed like crazy. So there has to be a way you look at what we're doing with our state income tax dollars as well.
Thank you. I'd like to circle back and just ask a little more specific. So, Myrna, you are against the tolls?
No, I would. No. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I would not like to see them, but I think that part of it is necessary evil, and so therefore I would have those of us who have out-of-state out-of-state license plates, we have a tax exemption due to that, and so therefore that's how we're generating income from those that are coming in from other states.
So you would focus only on out-of-state cars?
Out-of-state and larger vehicles, or having a surcharge during non-traffic hours for a vehicle, so that, having a surcharge during traffic hours so that trucks would likely travel at other hours to reduce our traffic.
It's my understanding that if everybody was subject to the tolls, it would take at least 3 years to see any return if we're just focusing on out of state, that would probably be closer to 7 or 8 years.
There's different calculations that have been made. One of them was that the installation of the tools would be around $350 million, but the revenues in the first year would be $1 billion, and so therefore it would actually take, if we were to toll everyone in the first year, obviously we would make that up, but therefore it would take 3 years in order to make up just the out-of-state and the trust. And I mean, there are different calculations, but that's the one that I.
All right, so it's your understanding that we'll get all of that revenue, or the,
That we would make it up in 3 years.
but have you, what's your understanding as far as how that revenue is split between us and the federal government?
I haven't looked at it at that level, I just was looking at the holistic numbers.
Okay. All right. And Kat, you are absolutely opposed to that, I understand, but there is a deficit, and it's something that's serious, and we're gonna have to deal with it. So we'll give you an opportunity to talk about other solutions in a minute. But as far as the tolls, you absolutely oppose them in any fashion, even if they're at the ends of the state, just for out-of-state cars.
Absolutely, and most especially the border tolling, which is, what it's referred to as, when you just
Yes.
tolling near your borders. If we institute just border tolling, then we lose federal funding. So it's a wash, and it doesn't
Right.
help us at all to do that.
Okay. And Jason, I understand you are opposed to tolling. However, there is a deficit we have to deal with. So is there any tolling that you would support under any circumstance?
So I just want to say what really bothers me with this whole tolling thing is that the governor during the election time had one tolling plan in place, and then after elected, he goes on Channel 8 and he looks all cool, and he's standing by the roads and he's talking about how now he's deciding that he's going to toll all the cars and the trucks. And before he even implemented any tolling idea, to make up the idea that when he was running, he was talking about just tolling certain trucks and people from out of state. So do I support any tolling? No. I said it the other night, my stance is stayed strong on that. I do think that there are other places in the budget where dollars can be found to make up the money we have to make for this.
Okay, thank you, Jason. So I have some candidate-specific questions. My first question is for Kat. Kat, Connecticut has experienced population drops in 2 key areas in the last 10 years. People younger than 20 and people between the ages of 40 and 49. We've experienced at the same time a growth in the population in people between the ages of 60 and 79. So in Connecticut, we have an aging population. Do you see that as a significant problem affecting our state, and what ideas do you have to attract younger people and workers and to keep younger people staying in the state?
Great question. It's certainly having tolls and all these new taxes on groceries and medication, those are not ways that we attract people to our state. I think we have to at least address, first of all, acknowledge she's here and acknowledge that there's a problem. There have been many economic development forums that I've gone to through the Economic Development Commission, and each of these is, some sort of state organization, and they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that people are fleeing Connecticut. They tell you only that, people are coming to Connecticut in droves. So, first of all, we're not admitting even that there is a problem. I think in order to keep people here, we need to make sure that Connecticut is affordable, and right now it's not, and certainly New London is a symptom of that. We are heavily reliant on state and federal funding. We are not, basically we're taxing and feeding people to death. So we've got to find some ways to cut out the wasteful spending so that we can keep those taxes and fees down.
Thank you. And just so that we're clear, the other candidates, if there's a candidate-specific question, the other two can elect to use a 30-second rebuttal to any of the specific questions. So my next question is, did you want to rebut that, Jason?
We have 3 rebuttals?
Yes. So my next question is for Mirna. Mirna, New London spends much more per student on public education than most of our neighboring cities and towns, understanding that that was a result of a new magnet system. Now that the magnet system is up and running, do you feel it's still necessary to continue to outspend per pupil? If so, why? And are you looking forward to cutting any costs? Do you see that as a necessary element as we go forward?
I think the cost needs to be disaggregated, because when you look, you have to look at the cost per pupil for a New London student, a cost per pupil in schools that are not magnetized yet, and cost per student in schools that are magnetized. And you also have to look at the legality of what magnet funding can go to. We just started the new budget process in the New London Public Schools last week, and Cynthia Ritchie, the new superintendent, is doing a great job of helping presenting the budget and helping us see previously the magnet monies, general fund monies, grant monies were all against certain positions that had all three areas contributing to them. And now that we're disaggregating, it's a lot more efficient and clear, transparent to be able to see where each dollar is coming from. So it's not really as clear as that. Let me give you another example. One of the stories that has been told in our community often is that our central office funding is much higher than other communities. Now that we should have done this a long time ago, but now that we are looking at our object code per the state recommendations and following what other communities are doing, it turns out that what other communities have for their central office staff, for us, we used to have everything. I mean, it sounds kind of obvious that everyone who was at central office, every service that was in that physical building was considered a central office fund, one of the central office dollars, but it actually doesn't work that way if you look at the line item disaggregation for the state. Central office are certain services, but let's say your finance is not, even though it's in central office, it doesn't belong to that pot of money, your HR as well. And so it's not as easy as saying that that's not real. We also have a higher percentage of special education students and English language learners. So those are numbers that you can't overarch on those other communities. You have to, again, disaggregate them. So it's a really complex issue, and the schools that have been receiving full magnetization, like Winthrop and Nathan Hale and the Science and STEM High School, have been receiving awards of recognition nationally. So it is working to supplement and not supplant, which is what the law mandates for us to do.
Okay, thank you. I let Mirna go over. I think Jason wanted to respond. So Jason, I'll give you 1 minute.
I think it's important to know that although the budget process is different this year, the people in central office are still in central office. I think it was a clever way that the superintendent put together the budget. It was hard for a lot of us to read, but the bottom line is that we have a $71 million budget that will be going forward to the city council at a 3.1% increase. So last night at our meeting, I did say, it seems like a pretty fair budget, but what Myrna is saying is in a sense not true, because we do have all of the central office people. We're not going to fill a position. We're going to fill one of the positions of a person that we're going to hire a slew of other administrators who, yes, will be stationed at other schools, but are going to be administrators that are going to be taking place of the central office, of the 2 central office people, one of which we're not going to fill. So that is, and just as far as magnet money, the district gets $11 million in magnet money. So since we became a magnet school district, each year it's been around $11 million that we get that other school districts that don't have magnet schools would not be getting. So we're getting $11 million extra every single year just because we have magnet schools. Those are some important pieces of information that come straight from our budget.
Thank you. All right, I want to get back to the elephant in the room, which is Governor Lamont's position on the new taxes, and there are so many names. I would like to know specifically which ones you think you would support, and then I would like to hear also some reductions. We'll do that separately, so don't go that way. I want to hear if you would support any of those specific tax increases. And Myrna, you can start. Oh, go ahead. You just spoke. We're trying to keep it flowing. I'm sorry.
don't believe that looking at all of the small, and I don't say small, I say small because the total revenue, it doesn't end up being significant. When we look at the tax on bike helmets or, on, there are all these smaller things that are going to impact us. They don't add up to so much, and I think what's important to look at is, so maybe I'll answer kind of both at the same time, your two questions, and then I can just take more time.
Then I'll give you 2 minutes.
Great. So I don't think that is really, for me, my focus. I think we need to look at making this a bit more equitable. I think this is basically impacting those smaller taxes are impacting probably most of us in this room, but not people where the few thousand people in the upper level would they actually be paying. And I don't want us to think about people say that the rich will leave the state, and it's really, I don't believe the case. When New York has a top tax rate of 8.82, and when New Jersey has 8.97, and we have a 6.99. So I have some suggestions about for tax revenue that suggested, a couple I have from the Connecticut Voices for Children, which is an amazing organization that lobbies in the state and sets their, she said I had two, right? Yeah. Lobbies the state for interests that have to do with children and families primarily. And one of their suggestions is a 0.5% increase for those in the top level of earnings, and just that would give us an increase of $217.3 million more. Another one, which is super simple, is current tax laws just enforcing that, which would be $40 million. And I have a couple more, but I do want to get to the cuts because now I'm getting concerned about the time. School construction reimbursements. I do think a community like New London does need them, but I would cut school construction reimbursements for municipalities that are not in need, like New London, that are not alliance districts. Another one is pilot. You look at a town like Farmington and New London, we have about the same amount of pilot payment in lieu of taxes reimbursement, when our communities don't look anything alike like one another. So that's another place that I'd like to see one of the taxes in places like that, to be able to have a more equitable place where cities are taken care of, which I do believe is a way to bring young people keep young people in the state.
Okay, I'll follow up on that.
Okay.
Yeah, please. You said by raising the tax rate on I need scope and magnitude. So who are we raising the tax on?
On those of the top income earners, 0.5%, and it would be.
What are the top earners? What is that? Does that look like 100,000?
I don't have all those numbers on me right now, but it would end up the result is a $217.3 million increase.
Okay.
I can give you some other numbers.
Well, what I'm concerned with is that number. I need the scope of it. So that means we would have to increase the tax revenue we would be taxing additional $4.6 billion to get that number. Where is that coming from? Are you hitting me?
Let me give you an example to put it into perspective. The tax report found that out of 725,000 households who earned less than $48,000, they paid 23.6% of their income in taxes. So this is less than $48,000. And then you're looking at 15,000 households, way fewer, making $600,000 to $2 million, spent 7.7% of their income in taxes. So just looking at that as the perspective. So no, I can't give you that exact number, but here it gives you a little bit of stepping back in perspective on it.
I'm all for it if we're hitting people over 600,000.
Yes, well, that's what it is. 600,000 to 2 million. You're good with that?
I'm okay with that.
I am too. Anyone else here? Okay.
All right, Kat. Same question. And now, you honestly take 2 minutes because I know everyone else has a lot to say about this.
Okay, all right, great. That is a slippery slope, and when we're talking about 23% of our incomes going up for taxes for people that make $48,000 and under, and then a much smaller number for people who make much more, If we're talking about taxing services and taxing plastic bags and taxing liquor and all of these new taxes, then we all are receiving the same increase. So the folks who are making the lowest amounts of money are feeling the biggest amounts of pain paying those taxes, and that's a problem. That is why you can't just simply look to generating new sources of revenue as your holy grail and your savior, because once you have a source of revenue, it's never going away. If we put tolls up, they're never going away. We have a tax on plastic bags, it's never going away because the government is now dependent on that. So we have to be very, very careful about adding these new taxes in. I mean, think about how many times you get a haircut in a year, how many times you go to the grocery store, how many bottles of soda that you shouldn't be buying your kids that you do. All of these things add up, and they hurt those of us who are average working citizens the most. That said, I think where the cuts need to come from is the super, super excessive spending. And I mentioned this the other night, I'll mention it again, because this is an impactful number. The Hartford to Springfield Railway cost $1 billion to put in. It costs $26 million every year to run it, and it only brings in $2.6 million. That means the rest of us are subsidizing $23 million for empty railway carts to go back and forth from Hartford to Springfield. That's a lot of money, and that's wasteful. Our pension packages and benefit packages to state employees are 33 times more, it's more lucrative than in the private sector. It shouldn't be that way because we are all paying for that. So until we start making cuts to the way that we spend, we cannot ask for more money from taxpayers.
And Myrna would like to exercise for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't-
One more 30 seconds.
I don't think that it was clear. I'm saying the same thing, that those little cuts, those little taxes that are added to us, like bike helmets, let's say, they're added to all of us equitably. And so therefore, I believe that those are only paying 7%, are making so much more, making $2 million, only paying 7%. I don't think that people paying 23% should be paying more than the people who are making $7 million. I don't find that equitable. It doesn't make any sense to me. And if you want to talk about return, people who are making $2 million cannot possibly. I mean, there's only so many more like silk pillows for how many threads per square inch that you could buy, versus when it's someone who has a lower income, you're definitely going to go out and say, oh my gosh, let me go on a vacation, let me take care of some basics in my life that I can. So it should be at least equitable.
Okay, and Jason, same question.
That's the process, please. I feel like that it should go through all of us before you let the rebuttals happen, and that's not happening. Because at least to answer the question.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
thought that was the process.
That's fair.
So what I was going to say is that I think that I'll start with where I think you can cut. I think we can cut with our term limits for state representatives and senators in the House. We could cut that. If we don't have, if they serve 10 or more years, they get a full term health package and a nice pension upon retirement after 10 years. And we could save millions over the course of time if we set term limits to 10 years, and then we wouldn't have to pay those benefits for the rest of their lives for giving us 10 years. I also think we have way too many state representatives in the state of Connecticut. We have 151 for the small state that we are. Connecticut, New London has 2. We really only need 1. Some of the other taxes that I would support, the hotel tax. I went to New York City, paid 25% plus tons of other fees in my room for the night. I would support increase that from up to 17%. I would support the winter boat tax, storage tax, campground rentals. I would support that tax. I'm a massage therapist, so I have never been to one, but I think if you're going to go, I think you should be paying a little bit of taxes on that. Plus, there's a lot of legalities that go on there. So soda taxes, I would support a sugary soda tax. My daughter and I, we stopped drinking soda over the last 3 or 4 months. Water here, which is much better for you. It would create a healthier environment. I don't know about your diet coolers and things like that as well, because they have aspartame in them. So I would support that tax. There are a number of taxes on this absorption list, like a bike helmet, child car seat, vegetable seeds, toilet paper. It wouldn't support all these taxes. There are just the ones that I mentioned through the hundreds that I've been looking at, I would support. So that's.
Jason, can I just follow up with that?
Yes.
I completely agree with you on the term limit for multiple reasons, but I don't understand how reducing the number of seats would help bridge the gap.
Savings.
Savings, yeah.
That's right. So right now, a state representative makes about $30,000 a year, and the good majority of the people up there will have some kind of whip or president pro temp, and they get a stipend along with that. So my theory is if we cut it down to 130-ish, you say you take 30,000 times say 20, and there would be a savings there every year that would come in. If we redistrict our, we take redistricting the entire state, the state representatives and state senators.
Okay, thank you.
So, did you want to exercise a 30-second rebuttal? Okay, go ahead.
To Jason's points about the soda tax and some of the others, the boat taxes, those are morality taxes. This is the government deciding what we should and should not be doing. And if you want to do the thing that the government has decided is wrong, then you need to pay for it. And that's not fair. And massage therapists, it might be a bit of a technicality, but I see a massage therapist for physical therapy reasons, and I'm sure that a lot of people in this room do as well. And also, if there are any massage therapists in here, that's sort of an unfair characterization. It is, all of those little things add up. Taking care of your medical needs should not be something that should be taxed.
Thank you. Okay, so I had asked two candidates specific questions, but I didn't do one of Jason. So Jason, my question for you is this. Scott put together a task force in 2018 to explore solutions to ease the impact of nonprofits on municipal brand lists. What is your position on taxing nonprofits, and do you have concerns that this could have a negative or disproportionate effect on certain groups?
Back when I was in the city council in 2003, we were having negotiations with Connecticut College to receive a certain amount of dollars from them. It took a lot of work to get, I think it was back then about $40,000 or $50,000. I think that, and I support going to the colleges, Connecticut College, Mitchell, Coast Guard, the universities in New London, and asking them for additional dollars. We know that cops are called to those campuses a lot, and they should be funding more than what they're putting forward. And I know that the mayor and the council has done a good job in getting something that was right. I think there needs to be more there. Taxing nonprofits, I think you have to be careful with that. I wouldn't want to tax churches, but I wonder, I'm opposed to taxing nonprofits. I don't see any nonprofits that I would say let's tax them, but I do think that we have to look for dollars in the colleges. And the places that say they're not-for-profit, the hospital, I would say we should go to the hospital. They say they're not-for-profit, but they have millions and millions of dollars in their endowment and what they have in their savings.
All right, honestly, I can make a good case for each of you, but one thing I am very concerned with is the go-along to get-along theory. And right now, New London is seeing a lot of action, and there's an argument to be made that going up there and being the rubber stamp is going to benefit New London. That is a tough balance to meet. So each of you, not being the endorsed Democrat, have a challenge. If you go up there, you're going to have to balance what's already happening through hard work, and the mayor should be congratulated and thanked for much of that. How are you going to walk that tightrope? Because it is a big deal what we're seeing right now, and we are getting, we're certainly being rewarded for the support Governor Lamont got from New London. What would be your strategy to walk that tightrope? And Jason, do you want this one first? Okay.
My record on the school board, I'm not afraid to go against the time, and I think that we do need someone who's going to go up there and not say yes to everything. And I think that that's what's expected from a 39th District State Representative, is to go up to Hartford and everything that comes forward from the governor, because he fared so well. And if you look at how the vote totals, how he did well, he did very well in London. That's not my intent. My intent is not to go up there and take this list of taxes that he's put forward. I do plan on caucusing with the Democrats, and I do plan on working out bills and talking things out. But at the end of the day, I am not going to rubber stamp everything. And I think if you look at my record on the board of ed, even on the city council, I used to clash with the other party person, a member of my party when I was in the council, because I wasn't going to go with, I was going to go with what Jason Catala thought was right, and that's the way that I'll go to Hartford.
Thank you. Yeah? Yeah, please.
Well, it's no secret, I have advocated in the community for a very long time to make this city more affordable, and I would continue to do the same in Hartford. And to me, and I think the RTC chair left already, it doesn't matter what party you're with, and it shouldn't, because we're all one city. I mean, we are split district-wise, we're in the 39th and we're in the 41st, but we are still one city, and we need someone that can effectively communicate the needs of what New London has in Hartford without either going along to get along, which is a phrase that I have used often with this, or fighting just for fighting's sake. I am a moderate Republican. I am cross-endorsed by the Independent Party. That didn't happen by accident. That happened because I submitted my platform and some about me, and they decided that I was a person that could navigate both sides of the aisle easily, as most people who identify as an independent or unaffiliated are. So I would continue to take that moderate approach and decide what is right based on Hartford, based on what our needs are, what's communicated from residents, and the things that I know the city needs.
Thank you. I agree that we do need to continue to foster the support that we've been getting, and I'm glad for the support that we've been getting from the state here. I have been testifying for years at the state legislature on education issues, and I know a number of legislators that have met there or at other conferences and things. And unfortunately, we have the legislative director is Chris Soto, our former legislator here in town, and so we obviously have that connection as well. I'm sure he's not going to abandon us with those issues. It's actually part of his job is to connect with us all. But I do also want to point out that as a Green Party member, we have about 60 registered Greens in the town, I have made it onto the Board of Ed without cross endorsement, and I became the chair of the Board of Education. So I have the ability and proven to question and answer along with from all different parties, because 60 people in the community did not elect me, with many more.
Thank you. Rebuttal. All right, Jason, let exercise his second rebuttal.
More of a clarification when I had said about when I go up there, when out what Jason Catala wants, it's what Jason Catala talks to his constituents and what they tell me what are their concerns. And when I think about the Board of Education, and a lot of the things that I had brought up on the Board of Education, and some of the times when I used to even get me in trouble at times, it's not fighting. I was quoted on one of a candidate's Facebook Live as going, just fighting because I like to fight. Nobody likes to fight. You fight when people call you and they know they can call you because you're going to bring their issue to the table. Those are the reasons why maybe that censure happened. Because I would get calls, people who are afraid to go forward, who approach the board, to go to the superintendent's office, came to me. And to me, that means a lot to me. So it's not fighting to fight, because I like to fight. Maybe I'm a fighter sometimes, but it's that fight in my heart when people come to me. So I get a lot of calls, and I know if I go to Hartford, I want people to call me. And I want them to say, go up there and do this for me. And you know what, I'm going to do that.
Thank you. So we have some audience questions, and this is a question from the audience that kind of overlaps one of my questions. The question is, what would you specifically accomplish in Hartford to improve or address the quality of life in New London? And that's for all candidates. And my follow-up to that is, if you're elected, what committee would you choose to participate in at the state capitol and why? And let's start with Mir. If we could start with Mir now.
open it up. There we go. I like the committee question. This sounds like it's going up, but I'm not fully answering it. There's a bill that was proposed that was referred to the Energy and Technology Committee, and it refers to state here. It's requesting that the DEP set a goal of 2,000 megawatts of wind energy. And it went to the Department, like I said, of Energy and Technology, and it didn't move past there yet, but they overwhelmingly, with Senator Formica's assistant, overwhelmingly got support to continue developing this. And so that's one area, because I do believe that, one of the committees that I'd like to join, because I do believe that the state peer-to-peer situation and the continual development of that is a really important issue. Another one is education. Natural fit for someone who comes from the Board of Education, and I'm a teacher by training, but also Betsy Ritter and Chris Soto, who are two legislators who have left their seats, and subsequently we have these special elections, are both from an education background. Chris Soto from higher education and Betsy Ritter from early childhood education. So I'd also be filling a void of the background of one of the legislators that have left. So that's a natural fit as well. Because it is so late
You're over time, but if you want to just very quickly address the second part of the question, is what would you like to specifically accomplish in Hartford to improve quality of life here in New London? And I'll give you 30 seconds for that.
Whoa.
And we'll let the other candidates go over as well.
Okay. As I stated in my opening statement, I would like to take advantage of our natural coastal resources, and so a couple having to do with that, I would like to see equity to water access here in the city is one of them. Again, the state here is another issue which I started to address in the previous question. And another one having to do with the same topic, because that's all I have time with, is the coastal portion of it, is LWV Cove. It's a really a precious ecosystem that we have here in that abuts our ocean beach, and it is gotten filled up and needs dredging, needs a lot of work in order to restore it, and it also could end up cutting through Ocean Beach, so taking away our beach property. But also, it is this place where LWV going to spawn, and so it's an ecological issue. And like I said, I really do admire and really glad to be able to live in this ecosystem that we live in here.
I have a follow-up. Can you tell
You
me,
say no, and then you say keep going.
I just need clarification, what does equitable access to the water mean?
The boat launches, for instance, we only have one that's over on one side under the bridge over there. It'd be great to have another little spot. I mean, we have a little, what is it, 18-foot? No, smaller, or tiny little thing that we go out to. And I love that at Mystic, there's a little public boat launch docking area, and we can go and eat right there. I think it would be a helpful thing to have that type of access here for waterfront, and it is because of it is a state issue because of the waterfront.
I'm giving you the ability to go to Hartford,
Yes.
and I'm asking you, what is your one cornerstone goal? What would that be?
Fiscal balance. We are in dire straits right now, especially with the pension deficit that we're in. It's a massive part. Unfortunately, it will require a lot of pieces if you want me to go into that.
We'll get to
No, that's okay. Only because we let you go so far over. So Pat, the questions were, what would you specifically want to accomplish in Hartford to improve quality of life here for us in New London? And if you could choose a committee to participate in, what would it be?
My answer is going to be super boring. I don't have big, sexy ideas about, creating railways and doing lots of things. My overarching goal, if I had a magic wand, would be to help pass legislation that allows for us in New London here to live our best lives, to pay a little less in taxes, whether that means getting more pilot money and more ECS so our mill rate comes down directly here in New London, and finding some way to cut out this excess waste that is draining our wallets. That's what my magic wand goal is. That said, the natural fit for me, I would love to be on the finance committee. If I were not able to, then, judiciary, because I have that background in law enforcement, working with the community and back and forth like that, judiciary could be fun for me to be on. But really my biggest, am I really silent now?
No.
Oh, good. My biggest goal is just to make sure that we have enough extra dollars in our pockets to live our best lives, and that's not happening here in New London. It's not happening for me, it's not happening for a lot of my friends, associates. That is what we need, is just to be able to be financially secure, and that is my goal.
And Jason, and you can have 2 minutes. We're allowing additional time on that.
Me, I think it's just really hard for me. I think I want to go up there and the taxes. It's just everything seems to be taxed. I can't have that. I don't want that to continue. We think of Waltons are one of the highest gas taxes in the state, in the country. Everything we buy is pretty much taxed already, and we want to try and go out and tax everything else. So I want to go up there and look at how we are spending what we have. I think we have too many commissioners. I think we could 5 of them, and there would be a large savings there. I think, as I mentioned before, the term limits would save money. We'd have to have a way where we could put more money back into the city of New London, because we have our school budget that's going to have a 3.1% increase, and we need those dollars to function for many years without an increase. Last year we got like a 1.5% increase. We have these schools now. We have people coming from about 30 other cities in the state coming to our schools, and we have to have the funding to keep our schools top notch. So cutting taxes, finding funding so that our schools can be upkept, and then we can continue to draw people from the state. Which committee will I like to be on? I have the most education experience of all the candidates combined. I have a 6-year degree, as I mentioned earlier. I'm still paying student loans on a monthly basis. I have a master's degree in elementary education and a bachelor's in history, and I also have an associate's from good old Three Rivers Community Technical College. I have my principal certificate, and that is a goal after serving in Hartford to be a principal. I currently am a magnet coach in the New Haven Public Schools, where every day I'm pumping out purchase orders, every day I'm finding out ways that magnet laws run in the state, and every day I'm working with kids, and the principal's out, and I'm up in charge most of the time. So there are a number of things that are happening in our buildings, and I would like to be on the education committee, and if that one didn't pan out, I'd like to be on the appropriations.
Thank you. All right, we're already starting to get pretty deep, and we have so many questions to ask. So I'm going to combine a couple here. Whoever is elected will be the sole New London representative. The 3rd District obviously is represented by a Groton native. You will be the sole representative of New London. Will you be representing just the 1st and the 2nd, or will you be representing all of New London, at least in your mind? You know what it is on the district. And 2 issues that really affect the quality of life in New London are homelessness and also sober houses. And sober houses is something I've been involved with quite a while. And one of the things that really bothers me is Demas, who funds much of the mental health work in Connecticut, they actually have spoken out against regulations on sober houses. In fact, we have members of that organization or that department that own sober houses in New London. In fact, we've had deaths in those homes. So I need to know that my representative is going to be looking out for homelessness and a solution for the sober houses, which is a real problem in New London. And we are all sympathetic to people who need help, but at some point it does have a negative effect just because of volume. So I'd like to know what you would be willing to do with those things, and if you are in fact going to represent all of New London. And Jason, just working on that.
As far as representing all of New London, in running for this race, I've had a number of people from the 3rd District call me and talk to me about some of the issues that concern them. And so definitely would be representing, I would be representing the entire city of New London and Hartford. And I think our districts, the way that they're made up, I would be advocating for one state rep for the city of New London. As far as the homeless and the sober houses. So one thing that has come up in our school board budget is that our homeless population for students has went from 100 to about 389 students now who are considered homeless. The term homeless has changed, and the law, so due to that change in the law, our student population is now 389 people who are homeless, living on other people's couches, in a homeless shelter. And working in a homeless shelter myself, currently, for the past 12 years, I understand what it's like to be homeless. You know, people ask me, well, why do you work in the homeless shelter? Why do you work in all the extra jobs that you do? And I think it's because I say that it keeps me level. It keeps me a level person so that I understand that I work hard at everything that I do have. And now that I see what people are going through, it makes me an advocate for them. So as far as the homeless people, I think that we need to work on regulations, and same with the sober houses. We have to look at how as I was passing out flyers today, I think I may have passed one of these sober houses that's very close to a school. So I think we have to look at where we're placing the houses and managing them, and really having some strict regulations and policies in place for those. And I think that comes.
To the first question there, you'd be a fool if you didn't represent all of New London. The two districts, or really we have three voting districts, but the 39th House District and the 41st House District are really two very different animals. You have to understand that the concerns of one, while they may be different than the concerns of another, what happens to one happens to all. You have to be aware that, just because property taxes may be more concerned to people who live in one area, that doesn't mean that they're not for another. And if we're doing things such as, if Hartford is not giving us our pilot money, not giving us our ECS money, and the property tax rate goes up, it doesn't just go up for one district, it goes up for everybody. So we both need to be aware of that. And moreover, I recognize a lot of faces in here. Not everyone here is from the 39th. There are many people here from the 41st. And so I think that speaks to that question directly, that we all want good representation in both districts. That happened fast, I'll hurry up. Regarding homelessness and sober houses, if one segment of our population fails, then we all fail. We need to make sure that homelessness is addressed properly. And also this ties into the taxes and certainly the sober homes and the places that are housing homeless people are also a lot of times nonprofits, most often nonprofits. So we need to make sure that they are contributing members to society as far as the business aspect of it goes in the sober homes, so that there's a little bit of give and take. We want everybody to do well, and it does affect the quality of life of not only the people who receive the services, but the surrounding community. And London's not that small; we are all surrounding community.
Thank you.
Move on.
97.
I do support the regulation of sober houses. I think it's really important. It's something that protects the residents of sober houses and protects everyone else as well. I think that the idea of regionalization is one that is helpful for making sure that the tax dollars from not just the urban center, but all of the areas that surround that benefit from our services here in the city is a part of dealing with this issue. If they're not going to pay in some other kind of way, then some kind of regionalization situation. I think another piece is fully funding of our pilot. The pilot was meant to be funded at about, I think, 70%. It went down in 2010, I believe, to 43%, and then down about 4 years later to about 23%. And if we fully fund our pilot, because it is a payment in lieu of taxes, and we have such a large portion of the community that is tax, or of our land that is tax-free, it would be another way of other districts, in a sense, kind of paying for those services, or that in lieu of because of the services that take place in those places. Another thing is wanting, which is on housing and homelessness, is wanting to have some transit-oriented housing. So some housing that is of mixed low income and market rate, and also transit-oriented means not just close to a place of transit, which is pretty easy to have some here in New London, whether busing, train and all, but it could be also accessibility to biking and walking, meaning that the spaces are mixed use and there's community spaces where people can go in and enjoy, which is a lot of what people look for when they come to an urban center anyway, is being able to enjoy your community and be a part of the larger whole. And is that a sign?
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to keep this segment much shorter. I know there's a ton to cover, but maybe we'll even expand the closing statements so everybody gets an additional minute. For this, we're going to actually, because everybody seems to want to go over a little bit, we're going to extend it to 90 seconds. But please, look, it's going to be a hard 90 at this point. And let's try to get through some of the really obvious questions that were touched on in the last debate.
Okay, so this question is for all of the candidates, and we can start with Jason. I'm not sure where we ended last, but we'll start with Jason. The question is, do you agree that candidates running on any ticket other than a Democratic ticket are at a huge disadvantage in this state, and particularly in this district? And if elected, what will you do to further your party's access to having a continuing role in a traditionally blue state?
I understand that. Are you asking
Do you feel disadvantaged by not running on a Democratic ticket? Obviously, we know that Democrats in this town have an enormous advantage. It's very, very obvious. Do you feel that disadvantage? And what will you do, if elected, to make sure that voices of people other than traditional Democrats are heard, and to make a change in Hartford so that we are not traditionally blue, or to at least further your party's agenda?
So I am a Democrat, and I do. It seems like the question is, what will I do to have? So I'm in favor of perhaps a minority representation on local school boards and the city council. Right now, it's the top 7 people who are elected get the position. I would support. That would be a charter change, because every other city in the state of Connecticut has minority reps. So right now on our city council, we have 7 Democrats. On our board of ed, we have 5 Democrats, 1 Green, and a Republican. So what, oh, I'm sorry, there is a Republican on the city council, Mr. Elias. So I really I'm not really sure how to answer the question, because I feel like in having one with both parties, I don't know if it's a popularity contest. I don't know what you can do to change that. So when I was in high school, it wasn't the most popular kid. I ate lunch alone, so I didn't know how to change that kind of activity. So I think that what I want to say is that we need to be able to have our own way how we represent the individuals, Republican, Democrat, Green, Independent. I think that we maybe another party in the city of London. The party, we did have one in London for a while.
Let me help you. Let me help you. I mean, it's because you are a Democrat, it kind of messes up that question. But let me put it this way. You're not running as one. So we have a situation where there is almost a supermajority of Democrats, right? So 3/5 gives whatever party's in power the ability to raise the rainy day fund. We commit right now not to do that if you win.
So all the Democrats are going to vote for it. I would not vote for it.
You would not do that.
There's a number of issues and things that are going to come to the table, some of them that I don't support, like when it comes to the legalization of something, marijuana. So a lot of things, I don't know if there's a question for that. There are a lot of things that are going to come to the table in Hartford. I'm not going to support the Democrat line. I am a Democrat and I'm not on the Democratic line, but there's a reason for that in the process of how the Democrats endorse, and there is no primary option in a special election. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, Kat, same question.
Well, first to the rainy day fund, absolutely, we have to stop that. We cannot, we're in the place that we're in now because our legislators continue to raise fund after fund, and then we have no money for what's supposed to be there. And so, no, we can't allow that. To that point, and we were just discussing this during the break, the person in the majority party who has that party's endorsement isn't here. And we're sweating our butts off up here under these lights, answering all these questions, and in the end, it may not even matter because there are so many registered Democrats person who didn't participate in 50% of the debates might win. And that's not okay. And you can't control how people are registered, and you can't control how they vote. What you can control is spreading the word to your friends, telling people out there, don't just vote with the party that you're registered with because you don't have to. Vote your head, vote your wallet, vote your heart, vote your conscience. Use your vote wisely and have other people encourage them to use their votes wisely so that we don't end up in the pickle that we're in now. The one-party rule has not served New London very well. This seat, for as long as I can go back, and I can only find 40 years, has never been held by anybody other than a Democrat. Our property taxes are through the roof. They're looking at wanting to raid our wallets again and going for more money. We can't allow it. So I would not, obviously I'm not the Democrat. I probably would not go along with much of what would be proposed from the Democrats because it's very spendy and it's not addressing our spending issues.
We're doing 90 seconds.
I would be looking to caucus with the Democrats, but there's also obviously a lot of other caucuses to join the Women's Caucus, the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus, so there are many opportunities to work with other groups. But again, going back to having worked in a way, obviously at a much smaller scale, one out of 7 board members versus one out of 60 reps. But I'll tell you a bit about how I've, there have been periods of time in my 3 terms on the Board of Ed where I haven't had the most support from other people, but I've managed to get still my 1 out of 7 votes and make a difference. And the example I think that I might have given you last time, but there's probably new people in the room, is that there was a time that I needed to pass something that I knew that my fellow board members were being told not to work with the non-Dem at the time. I was only non-Democrat. And what I did is I knew that I could base this on a dear, the Department of Education had sent out a dear colleague letter, and that I had some basis from the federal level of why this policy should go through. So I took it to the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, and I sold them the idea that they created the policy. I created it with them, I fed it to them, everything, and then they stamped it as, and they adopted it as one of their sample policies. And I brought it back to the Board of Education, and I said to them, look, hey, the Connecticut Association of Board of Education has this policy. You probably want it because you do like them, right? And we passed the policy on the Board of Education. So there are other ways of working with things. And the last thing about the rainy day fund, I would not rate it because that doesn't fix the problems that were in place in order to create that deficit. So what we do need to do is create different structures, not rate the rainy day fund.
Thank you. All right, let's just work our way right back. Couple of quick ones. Recreational marijuana,
How many seconds?
30.
If you look at oh my gosh, I can't think of the name, when you're not allowed to do something, the prohibition, when you look at the prohibition of alcohol, it was halted because it was actually creating a good amount of organized crime. It was homicides went up significantly after 1919 when the prohibition happened, and it didn't go down until after it was legalized again. When you legalize, you're able to regulate, you're able to take care of children and communities. Okay, continue.
For me personally, legalization is a no. That said, I'm bringing the will of people. I mean, the job is literally state representative. And the tone, the overwhelming majority of people I've spoken to have been in favor of legalizing it, and so that would be my vote, would be a yes on that.
I don't support the legalization of marijuana. As an educator, I would be prepared to support that. I teach DARES in the schools, say no to drugs. It's been around for many, many years. I think there needs to be regulations in place. It's going to pass, so there will be a bill that will pass. I will not be supporting it if that's what. There needs to be a bill. We need to look at all the crime rate that has gone up in Massachusetts and Denver, the unemployment rates that have increased due to people losing jobs in those states where it's legal. What about the people who are in jail, who are incarcerated for having these things weed on them, marijuana? What are you going to do for those people? So I think that there needs to be a lot. The bill is going to pass. I need to study it a lot. The cops are going to need to learn how to test people when they get pulled over and they're high. So I don't support it, and the bill will pass. I just need to work on going to have to be enforced, and a lot of things will have to be enforced.
Thank you. A new, exclusively new London issue is the Coast Guard Museum. To date, they have not come close to what they thought they were going to do as far as fundraising, and the lion's share of the fundraising, depending on how you count it, is coming from the state. Would you support additional funds to go towards the Coast Guard Museum? And if so, would there be some type of mandatory fundraising that they have to meet a threshold prior to getting any more money, or getting any money? Kat, go ahead. In 1 minute.
All right. Do you mean in additional funds on top of the 20 million?
Yes, I'm not asking you to take money away. Look, God knows we need it.
Right, okay. I don't love the location for the Coast Guard Museum. I've been pretty vocal about that. I would love to see it at Fort Trumbull instead. That said, it seems like the deal's already done and it's going to go where it's going to go. If the Coast Guard Museum project thrives, then New London will in turn thrive. I don't think we should go broke as a state doing it because we are also the state. So every dime that comes from the state still comes from us. If we can find a way to balance it out and make sure that it's not hundreds of millions of dollars going to that, but also that, and that will encourage more people to donate, then I'm in favor of that. And yes, absolutely, we need to have a threshold of donations raised and a cap to, X dollars raised privately and X dollars of state funds. My message has been consistent. We need balance, so I would require balance in that as well.
The question.
I would say always go with the light. And she said it was Jason.
I apologize.
The same question came up the other evening, as far as the Coast Guard Museum. I think it definitely needs to be funded. As far as what the state can contribute, I would suggest that the city needs to match what the state's put in, so if the city can raise $1 million, the state will match it with $1 million. I think that we have to have matching funds, because if the question was, will the Coast Guard Museum become a reality? And I keep thinking of reality as this is going to happen for a long time. About this happening, this project happening, like our school project. I brought an example of our magnet school projects that have been around since I was in the Board of Ed my first go around. So the reality, what is reality? These buildings, we put them out, we get the money, we need to build them, and that hasn't happened.
I think you misspoke. You said city matching, but the city can't give any funds. We can't afford what we have.
And then so you were saying, what do you?
The Coast Guard efforts to fund
The
it.
Coast Guard fundraising.
Yeah.
They would, whatever they raise, the city will match.
Thank you.
My concern with the Coast Guard, it sounds, I wouldn't want to turn away money that's coming towards our district for something as first time as a Coast Guard museum here for our city, but I am concerned with the long-term costliness of having this museum in a flood zone and having a pedestrian passage that sounds very difficult to manage large traffic, pedestrian traffic over that congested area. And so honestly, I want to examine what the viability is of and the benefits. I'm actually not aware of having the matching funds. Yes, obviously not the city. There's no way we could do that. We've got basics that we can't take care of here. But I think what I would like to see the funds, if we had to get matching funds, would be to go into a fund for maintenance, because that's a huge concern that I've seen in the schools, that we have these new spaces, but we need to be able to keep them up. It's long term, it's not beneficial to have great spaces that we can't really maintain. So I think that's an important piece of this.
All right, and that's time on that question. Everybody answered it, right? Yeah. Okay. So the audience, this is an audience question. The audience would like to know where the candidates stand on raising the state's minimum wage. And so why don't we start with Jason again and work back this way.
I'm in favor of it. raising the minimum wage to $15 over a span of 2 or 3 years. I think it's necessary. I don't know, I would definitely support that bill if it came forward on the floor. The only-
I'm sorry, Jason, just as a follow-up to that, do you have concerns about the impact of that on small businesses?
I do have concerns with that. That's why I thought over a 2 or 3 year span to increase it. Like right now it's 10 an hour. So what I was thinking at, and in conversations with people, you know, what about that person now who's been at the casino for 15 years and they're making $15 an hour? You're going to have now in a couple of years have a minimum wage of $15. So what are you going to do with that person who's worked their entire life at 15 to get to $15 an hour? And now you're going to say everybody's going to get it. So are there some concerns with it? Yes. Do I support it happening? Yes. But on the same breath, that person who's making $15 an hour, there needs to be a pay scale. So he's going to need to get, maybe go to the $17 an hour scale. It needs, and I know that that's going to, it wouldn't hurt a big place like Mohegan Sun and Fox Street, but it will hurt our small businesses. Yeah.
Do you think that the state should be dictating what employers pay on a sliding scale above minimum wage?
I think that they need to in a sense because it's where people are working, and they work, if you look at 10 an hour times $40, times 40 hours, you're looking at take home about $310 a week. So it's low. And it's poverty. And I think that at the $15 level, it's going to push us to have a better wage for people. I think that's necessary.
All right, thank you. Kat, same question. What's your position on the state's minimum wage?
Right, to answer the most recent question that you asked, is whether the government should be dictating what we pay our employees beyond the minimum wage, no. I don't think the government should be in our homes telling us what to do on that micro level or in our businesses. I do not support an immediate wage increase to $15 an hour, but I don't think that 2 to 3 years is near enough time. That equates to, all of your employees making, $1 to $2.50 more per year, or per hour instantly, and that's really, really tough to do. Additionally, this is something that a lot of people don't think about. People who are currently now receiving, $12, $13 an hour are also receiving state assistance. That could potentially go away at $15 an hour. So the couple extra dollars an hour that you make is not really helpful if you're losing your insurance or losing your food stamps and those sorts of things. That said, yes, I support an increase in minimum wage, but in a stepped increase slowly over time so that it is as beneficial to the worker as it is to the business.
Thank you. Myrna?
Yes, I do think it's a moral thing to do, but I think it's also, if you think about, the state legislative bipartisan commission on fiscal stability actually recommended it because they believe in its economic competitive, they believe that it will reinvigorate the economy. The proposed bill the current proposed bill does recommend it over a 5-year period, and I think that's a good way to go about it. And beyond the minimum wage, there should not be any. There should not be any.
Well, the reason I asked that follow-up was because Jason suggested if somebody's now making $15 an hour, the guy that was previously making $15 an hour now has to make $18. And so, in order to, right?
No, just so stating the minimum wage and that's it. But I do think it's interesting that it was recommended by a bipartisan commission and it's on fiscal stability. So I think it's been studied with the it's been studied at the state level on our economic repercussions.
Myrna, I am sure any study on economic stability would absolutely be in support of a higher minimum wage. However, if Governor Lamont is to increase other taxes, let's face it, most of us are employed by small businesses. Unfortunately, small businesses in this community especially are teetering. You go to business all the time. If you have 4, 5, 6 employees and they go $3 or $4 up, that's gonna put business out of business. And that unfortunately is reality. Would they be better off economically? Absolutely. So there's a balance there that has to be met. Would you support an exemption, or would you put a minimum number of employees on that to exempt you from that minimum wage? Because that would be critical, otherwise people would go out of business like that.
No, and that, a minimum wage is a minimum wage, and that's why there's time for it to be rolled out. I mean, the recommendations, were 3 years and then, not an exact amount of time, but I think this is the lengthier amount of time to allow, the adjustment for businesses.
I can tell you that none of those people recommending fiscal stability own small businesses in a municipality. I can tell you that for sure. It's a real difficulty, and I think Gordon raises an excellent point. There's a place where it's a zero-sum game, and I think everybody has to recognize, would you be responsive to your voters or your district and small businesses in your district who opposed an increase? I think an exemption is a great way to go about that. You need to have maybe 5 or 10 employees. Why would you be closed-minded on that?
Of course, I'd be responsive to district constituents. I think that's a really important piece. So no, I think anything that not anything, but a lot of what I stand on, it really is about community input as well, because I don't have the perspectives and experiences as everybody in the community. And so we each come with our own stories and our own experiences, and so it's definitely important to listen to other input.
And same question, and we can start with you, just 30 seconds. Where do you stand on paid family leave?
I also support the paid and family leave.
And do you support that on a voluntary basis or on a mandatory basis?
On a mandatory basis.
And do you support that for all businesses, or do you feel that there should be an exemption for small businesses or businesses with a certain number of employees?
I would support it for if it's something it's supported for all businesses. And if we were to legalize cannabis, it would be at minimum the first year about a tax revenue of $30 million, and the family leave would be about $14 million to pay for in the first year.
And who do you think would be paying for that?
Well, I'm saying it could come directly, it could be a state program, and it come directly from those revenues.
So I think if we are going to, you all are getting the same question. Don't laugh, you're all getting the same question.
No, I'm just forgetting.
So your position is increase taxes because of the recreational marijuana, and we can use that money to achieve all those goals?
No, it's not an increase of a tax. It's the society pays a significant amount for the criminalization of cannabis, and we pay $62,000 a year to have someone incarcerated in the state. Paying for services of addiction is much lower, and so we do pay for it. We pay for it differently. It may not be you and I, if you and I don't have those issues and those concerns, but we don't pay for it. I'm sorry, it is you and I, but it isn't you and I on a daily basis that we can see it right here, but you and I do pay for it and other repercussions to our society, obviously. And so it's just moving it to a place where it is being able to be regulated, and so that we can manage it like we did with ending the prohibition of alcohol.
So I guess
and so that's where it's not raising taxes. It's moving it to a place where you can regulate.
it's an increase of tax revenue.
If you're a smoker, I guess.
For the state, who cares where it comes from? It's an increase of tax revenue to the state. You would like to use that money to pay for these other things and not come out of the small businesses.
Right.
That I think we all get behind.
Okay, thank you.
I was trying to remember them all.
Do you remember the question? Where do you stand on paid family leave?
We need to do something with Paid Family Leave. The family structure has changed over the last several decades, and there is absolutely a need for it. As it's written, it's not sustainable. And we'll end up in a pickle the way we are with the pensions right now. It is too small an amount going in and too large an amount coming out. I have been a small business owner for the last couple of years. Now I work by myself, for myself. Being and I think that they actually call us micro businesses if you're less than 10 employees. I'll tell you what would happen if I had to do FMLA and minimum wage as, having, or, $15 minimum wage, having 4 employees at one point, is I would no longer have any employees. I'd make them all subcontractors and 1099 them, and then you save a whole lot of money. And that's what you'll see with a lot of small businesses if we do that. So it needs to be done properly. It needs to be done in a smart way so that, again, just the same answer I gave before, so that it is as beneficial to the employee as it is to the employer.
So if you're in medical leave,
Yes.
I do support that. I support it with the need of having a fee. Right now, I'm looking at, from what I've been reading, it's a 0.5 payroll tax. I wouldn't qualify as an educator. I don't think city workers qualify, municipal workers. So it has to be regulated. You have to look at, because as in everything, what's going to happen is, and I think that's what Pat was talking about, is that everybody has a close doctor, friend who's a doctor, and you feel that you may need some time off. And from what it's written now, if you're making $1,000 a week, that's the max. You're allowed to make if it's needed to be used. I would love to have had a Family Medical Leave Act in my mother's. I would love to have taken time and not paid for it. So that's a good reason for that. A foster child. When I had a foster child, I would have used this act. So there is a lot of good intent in the Family Medical Leave Act. I just think that it's still kind of all over the place and how we're going to fund it. And I'm not necessarily really happy about the 25% from paychecks. I feel like if you can opt in or you can opt out.
Thank you. All right, so we're at 8:12, so I think it's time for closing statements. We'll give each person 2.5 minutes. But I would like to answer, as part of it, I would like to answer one of these 2 questions. First, if you weren't running, which one of the remaining 3 would you vote for? Or, if you're a big baby, who's currently on the national stage that you most identify with as a politician?
We nailed the tables down to the floor so you can't use them.
So Jason got high card, and he chose to go first.
I would never look at that.
Vernon, you're up first. Sorry, you got the low card.
That's okay. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you for hosting this. I'm really honored to have the opportunity to talk to everyone about these issues, and I honestly would love it if we could go on for 2 more hours. So I really appreciate everyone for coming out. To remind you, I am here to represent New London's issues, not a party's interests. I worry about the whole in the economy and the services and being able to maintain people here in the city, and who's going to pay this off. And I think it is our responsibility and something that we obviously want to reap the benefits of, but it's also our responsibility to do this for future generations. I have offered and have more offering of solutions and alternatives so that we are seriously attacking our deficit. We did not even get to talk about the pension issues, which you guys promised, but that's okay. And on the national level, how long do we have for this exercise?
2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes. Okay, great. Well, let me just since I started to jump a little bit into who on a national level. Johanna Hayes, the first Black woman who is in Congress from Connecticut, now playing at the national level. She is a Teacher of the Year and someone who I admired, and I saw her at the state the other day when I went up for lobbying day for a day of testimony for the Black and Puerto Rican caucus, and she happened to be there, and I got to speak to her. And I happen to, if I see people out in the street, I'm really bad at recognizing faces, so I didn't recognize that we had actually worked together on education issues in the past, and it was kind of great to see someone who I had been admiring their moving forward on these issues at another level, to know that I'd actually worked on her with her before on some issues. So that's somebody that I do admire, and I admired the way that she presented herself with us. How much do I have? 30 seconds for pensions. All I can say in 30 seconds is that we do not want to end up in a situation like Detroit. It's a really important piece to our fiscal stability in the state, and it is used as a measure of our fiscal health, and it's something that I do feel great responsibility for. Thank you everyone for being here.
I'm going to have to say that you vote for me if you want. I'm sorry, Dad.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for the really good question, the thoughtful questions, and to whoever in the audience submitted them. Thank you all for being here. It's Friday night. It's not easy to stay awake through political issues on a Friday night, so thank you all again. I am super, super excited to be up here with people who are so very actively involved in the community, and I feel bad that one of us is missing because we had a prior engagement. I love this city. I love what we stand for. I love our location. What I don't love is that we are not doing very well financially. Both the city and its residents. I welcome the opportunity, hopefully, to take my knowledge of the city and my moderate politics, and I know sometimes that can become a dirty word in politics, is moderate. I think that's a lot of what we need, is a little bit of moderacy. We need to understand what we need, that we need the money from the state, but know that we are also the state. Understand that we need the services, but with having services there is a cost. And we can do that, but not if we keep sending the same people to Hartford to do the same things. I am the only one of the 4 candidates that has been consistent on a message of fiscal conservancy, which I know is a really boring term. But all that means is having enough money to store it away for a rainy day so that we can live our best lives, all of us. And knowing that we have a future, even though our population is aging, there are still our children that need to grow up, and they need to have a safe city and a healthy city, and having someone in Hartford who will speak well for us and who will listen to us. I know that the Republican message is not always one that identifies with everyone. That's why I sought that independent party endorsement. They're well known for running moderate candidates who navigate both sides of the aisle. I believe that I do that. I'm stalling a little bit because I don't want to say who I would vote for. I gotta tell you, if it's me and I'm not running, I'm gonna vote for Jason. He used to be a Republican, he's now a Democrat. However, I still think that he espouses those fiscal conservative values, and he's about middle of the road. That said, I would love to see you all pulling that lever now and showing that page to vote for me on Tuesday. Thank you.
My name is Jason Catala, and I am for state rep in the 39th district. I'm the petition candidate, so I'll be on the bottom of the ballot, 1E. I'm running because of the Democrat process. I thought was a little bit flawed. They didn't have a primary piece, and they had their mind made up. And I respect them for that, but I decided that I wanted to get the petitions to be on the ballot. And if you followed some of my career throughout my 20 years, I started running when I was 23, and I'm now 44. I was elected at the age of 23, and I was a Republican. And no one thought I could win that election. And my mom and I can remember we would go out every single night and we put flyers in the cars. And it was that hard work that she instilled in me growing up and having it tough, and knowing what it was like to, not know where your next meal was coming from, and working hard and striving. And right now, I'm the only person in my family who does have a college degree, an advanced degree, and I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of my service to the school board. 14 years, it will be. And I know there are times where people say, what are you talking about? Why are you speaking like that? Why were you censored? I was censored because I talked about earlier, is that because I really, when people call me, I'm going to take your issue. So if you want to say your representative is going to go to Hartford, and who's going to fight? You're going to read about it today. You're going to read about me because I stood up on the forum, because maybe I said something that wasn't popular to everybody, wasn't popular to the Democrats, wasn't popular to the Republicans, wasn't popular to those in the middle. So that's why I'm running. I was going to run back against Chris Soto when I decided to pull out of that race. I have the support of Ernest Hughes, who is a 12-year state representative, and then we had a lot of conversations over the last couple of days. And he talked to me about when you go up there and what you need to do. And I'm confident if elected, I would go up there and I would represent the 39th district as I needed, as you would want me to. And I would take your calls. I would want to hear from you. I would want to give you my card. I would want you to come to coffee hours with me. And I would want your support. And I would support you in return. I would support the entire city, the schools, the taxpayers. I'm a moderate conservative. I do feel like there are some taxes that we need to implement, but there are some that we have to get rid of. If you want facts from me, if you want a hard worker, as I said before, I will advocate for you. I'll fight for you, and I'll be up there. I'll be up all hours of the night for you, and that's why I'm running. And who would I vote for? Who would I vote for? I don't know if I want to say a candidate. I could say someone on a higher level. Because I really do have a lot of respect for all the people at the table. And I don't want to say one. So I'm going to say, but I appreciate Kat saying that. I rose to Delora. I was watching her on TV. And she's got her blue hair. And she came to the Haven Public Schools opening day ceremony, and she was just so full of energy. And as I'm I try to look at her energy and her drive for everything. She's someone that I really admire. She's still in the game. She still runs. She's probably going to run every day she dies. And she's someone that I admire.
Thank you all very much.
I want to take my 30-second rebuttal.
You can.
Whoa.
I just want to thank you all. That was fantastic. And thank you all for coming in. It's a really important election. Please get out the vote.